Thank you very much, so. And yeah, I think very cogent words there from our desk. But Kai, though, this matchup here comes from two teams. What are you? Is that my shirt?
What? No, this is one of my shirts. I like this shirt. What's wrong with it? It's a little camo.
What do you mean?
Like,
you've been dissing my shirts.
Thing.
It's exactly the kind of you've stolen my wardrobe.
Well, I look cool when I wear these shirts. You just look ridiculous.
That's not true. I'm wearing koi fish, baby.
Also, we have to decide on another episode of is Danny's outfit.
Oh no, it's one piece. Dude, it's one
that's
piece.
a one piece.
Mate,
the shorts just match way too well.
If Danny goes to the bathroom, it's very inconvenient. I'm telling you, that is one piece. I will die on that hill, 100%. Matt,
or
this is a matchup
matching two-piece. Could be that as well.
I don't believe it. No, I think it's all one ensemble. It's a bromper. Is that what they call it? I'm going to call it bromper. Yeah, that's what it is. I love it. Look, big shout out Danny.
Who's playing?
Always a fan of that.
It's Atlanta versus Boston.
You got anything else?
Talk about the game, Mitch.
All right, so this is a matchup between 9 and 10th. You know what's so insane, Matt, is that we have a team here in Atlanta who go all the way to like the lower bracket finals in Dallas. They're ranked 9th out of technically 13 right now, because 3 and 3 in that last stage was only good for being in the lower half of the Western region. That's how competitive things were. So these two teams are actually right next to each other in the standings, even though one went to Texas and went quite far and the other was absent.
Well, Atlanta kind of falters like the second half of the kickoff clash. Like they looked really good at the start and then started to tail off towards the end. If I remember correctly, though, they had some really tough games in there. Like they played like some of the top teams in the kickoff clash towards the end, where you saw once it got to land, right? They played really strong, right? They worked Gator into the lineup a little bit more. He got some play. I'm not worried about Atlanta in the slightest. We'll see their starting lineup today. They'll start Venom and Hawk, so that tells you they're going to be playing some Tracer, most likely Hawk on the Sigma too.
These guys are like the roadmen of 2021, I feel like. A lot of travel for them. You know, getting over to Hawaii, that was sort of the only travel that was sort of, able to be done. And, you know, this team obviously, really had to put in the miles, and they competed up against that Eastern region sort of more than once. This may well be the time for the Atlanta Rain to kick it up another notch, right? You mentioned Venom coming in. We've seen him on the Tracer. It's clear that he's a Tracer specialist, but whether he's going above and beyond his sort of expectations right now remains to be seen. With all this Sojourn, though, we're seeing, Matt, Kaya seems like he's once again going to be in his element, another meta that favors him. And we know the Hawk Sigma was a huge part of Atlanta Rain's formula for success in the past. It's nasty.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not really worried about this Atlanta Rain team. I think they have the talent across the board. I think their mental game, right, is really strong. No players who have gotten a lot from Twitter and a lot from community, whatnot. You show up at LAN, lots of pressure, you perform. Not worried about this team in the slightest. I think specifically with Kai now being able to play the Sojourn like you mentioned, I think that's going to be a huge addition for this team. And then also with the supports, right? They're able to play just about anything. So I think kind of roster talent-wise, they're set up really well for the rest of the season.
Let's talk about their opponents, Matthew. Dubbed a professional team, the kind of players that would never steal each other's broadcast attire. It's the Boston Uprising with an interesting inclusion here. It's going to be Itzal starting at tank.
Yeah, he'll be in to start to tank today. We saw Punk towards the end of the kickoff clash, and he played quite well in some of their late stage wins. It'll be interesting when you have Itzal in here to play today. You figure that in a meta that shows Sigma, right, you would have Punk, as he's traditionally more of an off-tank player, but we'll see what Itzal brings to the table.
Yeah, obviously, that was our expectation. I think, Johnny sort of touched on it a little bit, saying, hey, we kind of expect to see them try to get more value out of Punk, but it might actually be a completely different direction that this team's taking. I think if we get a hit scan duel, it will be quite interesting, because from what we've seen of Victoria's play, he prefers to be a little bit less aggressive, definitely preferred to take less aggressive angles when he picked Widow on maps like Gibraltar and such. Not in this series, of course, as the map pool is going to be preset. It's not loser pick or anything like that, but there's still opportunities to bring in that kind of pick. My eyes are firmly set, Matt, on Circuit Royale if we get there in map 3. That's when those Sigma, those hit scan based compositions might come out. But for the time being, we're going to be hitting here onto Oasis, and it's City Center. So again, a map that's not going to favor those more static compositions. I want to see what Boston put Itzal on here. The Wrecking Ball would be fascinating.
The Wrecking Ball seems to be a popular pick amongst some teams. Atlanta could end up playing this Doomfist. We've seen Hawk play that throughout. We saw a little bit of D.Va yesterday, not a ton, but also Hawk, we know in the past, a very strong D.Va player. Kai, we both expect to play the Sojourn, right? We've seen teams make really good use of the newest hero that's playable right now. And I think you're going to see a lot of teams go towards the Sojourn. She seems really strong right now.
Here we go. One hero that the Reign never really wanted to play was the Wrecking Ball last year. They really tried to play against it, counter it, and they didn't want to have adopted that playstyle themselves. So don't expect to see a mirror here from Hawk. The Doomfist here, not a huge surprise. You'll see Crimzo and Faith flanking one another as they head to this high ground, try and establish some early control. Let's see what Crimzo can do on this Zen.
Yeah, and this is really interesting for like Hawk, right? Like, who is the dive target here for the Doomfist? Can't exactly just get up to the high ground and challenge those supports. But I mean, Venom with some help there from Ultraviolet gets a kill on Victoria. Takes out that Tracer. That's kind of the combo, right? With the Tracer in the Wrecking Ball sending on in to do big damage. That's out of the equation now.
A huge part of that damage came from a rail from Kai, as he's like keyhole shooting through that middle pergola and just happens to see the Tracer. That's one of the scariest things I feel like right now about playing Tracer here is that you're pretty easy to hit with these rails.
Oh, dude, I mean, what in the game that we casted yesterday, right, with Hydron, just like absolutely just wrecking Shaxx in the Sojourn versus
over and over again.
Tracer matchup. There wasn't even anything like Shaxx could do better, right? Just you have that rail charged up. Something that I think you can recognize from this, and then I think players also recognize, it's really hard to tell when the Sojourn is like charged up in terms of how powerful that right click is. So it's difficult for the Tracers to gauge whether they're safe to go in and dive on the Sojourn or not.
And with how quickly the projectile travels, you just find a Tracer sort of in between blinks, and if you connect a headshot, it's an instant kill in many cases. If not, it's still a ton of damage that'll force a recall at the least. Venom, speaking of which, has to do just that here as the Pulse Bomb comes in for Victoria, who went for a bit of a style play to stick a Tracer post-recall. No purchase there, but Kai found Crimzo here with that rail shot, and the Reign don't look like they're any closer to giving up control here, not after that stick on Faith.
No, I mean, Boston's really made no progress here in trying to break this setup from Atlanta, where Boston, they're trying to go on that like right side staircase, but that Disruptor shot from Kai on the Sojourn, right? The ball that was doing tons of damage early on in the beta, it still is just a really good just kind of area denial. You can't move through it. It's slow if you go through. You take that ticking damage, and then you're obviously dealing with other damage coming through. So we'll see maybe Valentine can land an EMP here.
Got to get something here. No final blows for the Uprising yet this round. It's been a perfect round so far for Atlanta. Looks like that's about to end, though, as Valentine tries to throw the kitchen sink. Oh, my goodness, causes a dialogue to pop up on the screen. That's how ridiculous that was. Kai has overclock available here. Still no deaths for the Atlanta Reign. Now the Transcendence brought into the fight. It's Valentine to fall first to Hawk, and that Transcendence is more of a stay of execution for the Uprising. Kai is hunting. Another Disruptor shot thrown down range, and Victoria is getting close. That's that first elimination for Boston, but they've lost Itzel. OG playing safe in that corner there as Hawk and Venom just need a top up, and Ultraviolet's dishing out the orbs.
And with Boston's composition, they need to make plays for Ultraviolet and OG, and you never saw either of them in trouble throughout that entire round. Able to just stay at a distance and put down damage with Kai. You also had some really big kills at the start from Venom in certain fights, so if you're Boston, you're going to play this composition. You can't punish like players like Hawk or punish the supports. You're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Venom had a fantastic round. I think he found 3 final blows pretty much straight away. Those first couple of fights, he was all over it. Not a lot of damage from the Uprising's comp. I mean, Wrecking Ball, his buff is purely in terms of displacement. Sombra obviously is involved with the hack. It's so short duration. It's really hard to catch a team in a position.
Well, you also get the bonus damage
from
hacking now too, right? Being able to hack and then do extra damage. So that's kind of like, you get the hack. But you put down some damage yourself with the Tracer, you think you can get a kill.
He's got less damage than his own Ana, though. I guess that's the tough part for the Sombra. Not able to have the impact he's still looking for in that round. And again, another great start for Atlanta, right? No real change compositionally here. Ultraviolet moving to the Ana. That's all.
I mean, you have a death right at the start here Hawk
Someone's
probably
having
going to be
fun.
able to make it out with his life, but yeah, I mean, you lose Crimzo right at the rip as Hawk goes in. Seismic Slam lands right on top of him. Nothing you could do after that, as this has not been a good look for Boston thus far.
Yeah, the Rainer decided they don't really care about Itzel. They're not playing, that sort of very hostile anti-ball backline anymore. They're just favouring the mobility and that extra sort of throughput impact of Ana. I mean, Victoria has to use all these blinks there. He stands still for a second. He gets vaporized. His faith almost suffered. Kai, power slide to the point here, calling for heals, and they come in quickly.
You can see how fast that Sojourn can get away from the Wrecking Ball, right? Nothing that the Wrecking Ball can do to chase there as...
Oh my god, Paul.
Slam on to Faith on the high ground. Yeah, I mean, this is just a sick dive coming through here from the Atlanta Reign.
Recall there from Venom. Valentine's able to find Hawk at the very least. But again, will it be another one-kill round for the Boston Uprising? We're halfway through here. And again, yeah, a couple of key ultimates on the horizon, sure. But Atlanta aren't being forced to part with any of theirs as this defense, this positional hold just solidifies.
And I mean, you see OG gonna have a sound barrier. Faith is at like 65% at this moment in time.
Oh, man.
That could be big, though. You knock Kai off the side and you get Ultraviolet. Now you should be able to make a play for the point.
No contingency for the Wrecking Ball in Atlanta's composition, and eventually Itzal's able to have an impact. 2 key kills, but Crimzo's been picked off yet again. That's the Biotic Grenade and the Nano Boost not available anymore. OG's going to go for the sound barrier here as the Rain look to try and contest a minefield over the point, partially covering that side room, but the Rain don't seem too bothered for the time being. Valentine in Duplicate playing a little safe here as he waits those 12 seconds out. He's going to be knocked out of Dupe here, looking for Kai, but it's going to be Hawk with 2 in that fight. Itzal trying to pressure that backline down, but there's far too much healing available for the Atlanta Reign right now. The silver lining is that Boston have control of the point, and Itzal is stalling admirably.
Yeah, but how long can he actually realistically stall this for? He's going to try and get out here. It's going to be Atlanta flipping the point, so Atlanta finally does flip the point through all of that. They're going to have 75% and counting. You're going to come back with the 2 ultimates, most likely get a Meteor Strike here, but Faith finally with this sound barrier.
Well, anytime to use it, it's going to be about now. Itzal's really the only thing that Boston have had that's sort of gone their way. And here's Victoria, finds OG first and foremost, and Venom has been pretty patient holding onto this Pulse Bomb. He'll be even more patient as Itzal got himself a sound barrier, but Venom waited just for 1 second. It doesn't matter because Victoria and Valentine combine for a team's worth of kills.
Yeah, and I think Valentine actually lands his Stay Bombs on a Hawk, and just the splash damage ends up taking out Venom as well. Big kills there from Valentine. Is trying to keep Boston Uprising alive on this map. Hawk can get really aggressive here, Mitch, because he has that Meteor Strike to get out of kind of jail, right? If he goes in, gets into trouble, and they're going to go right to the high ground.
Very aggressive from Kai. Overclock engaged, looking for Valentine there, but Fate's able to send Ultraviolet careening off the edge of the map here. OG able to reciprocate, but that'll be all the Atlanta Reign have going in this fight. Now the Uprising can start to double down here. Now they have a chance to make this map competitive.
And Sojourn's ultimate is obviously more risky than like a 76, right? Where the 76 attack visor auto aims for you. You still have to aim those shots on the Sojourn. It looks like Atlanta, they don't want to like fully back out and reset. They have everybody coming off the spawn just now, and they get Victoria.
That's huge. Valentine also pretty low. Hawk found him in midair with a punch somehow. Unsure how that happened. Defying gravity of the Atlanta Reign. That's just ridiculous. Boston capitulate in a split second. They were in a decent spot. They had some control, and all of a sudden it all goes wrong for them. The Atlanta Reign return to winning ways here towards the end of the round on Oasis. And that was just Victoria with a brief touch, and that's all it's going to be. Pretty dominant opening here from the Atlanta Reign, matters. Boston looked uncertain to start, and they took too long to get going.
And I think what you really have to like if you're an Atlanta fan is that typically in the past, like these are the type of compositions you've like struggled with, right? Where, you know, in this case you're playing the Doomfist, but like these aggressive, fast-paced, divey style compositions, and they looked great there.
Strong start from the Atlanta Reign here, still stoking the fire in their bellies after an early exit in Texas. Stick around, everybody, as our second round is just a few minutes away.
Two shots, dead in the ground, we ain't the same, pull up. 3 rounds, bro, you done. We let it rain, head pop. So look out when we in the zone, don't play around. I got a strap, put to your back, telling you now, we laying it down, yeah. Bands up, trapped out, I bring the Dars, gang out. Look, don't wanna fade and drop out, got no clout. Think smart, this crucial. We ain't no average usual, nah. We let it rain, ain't seen a savage, who you?
It's a tough outing on Oasis for the Boston Uprising here as Hawk, obviously this moment on Valentine, quite a nice look as they just explode back into control of the point, winning the map right there and then. Good opening for them. The composition looked very classically Rain as we still see Hawk on that Doomfist play, and Kai did move to Sojourn as we expected. We got to see a bit of Itzal there for the Boston Uprising, Matt, a bit of that Wrecking Ball play. He looked really solid. Unfortunately, it looks like the comp just really didn't have what it took against Atlanta's setup.
They just couldn't put it together around the Wrecking Ball, right? So you'll see Punk come in for Itzel, and then you'll also see MCD coming in here for Faith. So some substitutions as we move into map number 2, which will be Eichenwald. I think you'll probably see Sigma compositions, right, from both sides. It's a lot like what we saw yesterday with the Sigmas in play on this map.
I think the next two maps, right, will probably be the same, or at least, yeah, once we get Circuit Royal, of course, probably present that same opportunity. But so Eichenwald should be a bit of an indicator of how these teams square up on those comps. And look, I think if you're wanting Boston to really have a big chance in this series, you want to see them look good on this map. This might be the most telling map of all of them, because I think a lot of what we see on Eichenwald will carry over to Circuit Royal, at least at some points, right? There's some wriggle room here. We've seen both teams try and pick up the Zens. I think Ultraviolet had a really nice Zenyatta round there on Oasis.
Yeah.
And we have a sub here of MCD coming in for the Boston Uprising. So we'll see what changes in that support line.
Yeah, maybe playing the Brig with the Zen, right? If you're going to play the Sigma-based compositions.
Yeah, why take Faith out then, I guess, is what I want. He was quite a solid Brig.
Yeah, not exactly sure.
Okay, so, ooh.
There's an opportunity for some change on that side of, once they're on the offense, so opportunity.
What do you make of
off the side?
No Zen here for Atlanta. I guess maybe they're, I don't know, maybe they're not too worried about like Wrecking Ball. Definitely want just that Ant Matrix play.
It'll actually be Hawk on Doomfist. Interesting that he runs out of the spawn on the Sigma, goes off the side, shows them that potentially Sigma, and now switches over to the Doom. So playing the Doomfist with the Batiste is quite interesting.
Was that impulsive, I wonder? Or like a spontaneous decision? Because you kind of feel like Sigma makes sense with that comp.
They probably have an idea of like what Boston plays, even if they don't scrim against them. They probably have an idea. Where Boston with a much different look than we see some other teams. This will be the Zen with the Batiste. You have the Sigma in play with a Hanzo Mei combination.
Well, it definitely explains the switch to two Flexiports, right, with MCD coming in. So Crimzo hovering Luciano, I was very confused, but this makes a bit more sense here. Well, Crimzo got his face melted off there by Kai, but Victoria's able to pick off Venom. I mean, you see double kills to disrupt the shot, something's gone very wrong positionally, Matt.
I mean, Kai will more during this fight, yes. Right? Looks like they're just going to try and let him hunt down the last. Yep. Let him come right out the gate, getting all 5 players. As Valentine now will go over to Echo. Let's take a look from Kai's POV. Right here, and everybody gets inside of this room here. Yeah, you're gonna...
It's the wall. They may walk themselves into it. Oh, golly.
Oh, golly.
Oh, golly. I'm trying to mix up some of my, superlatives, reactions. Yeah. Victoria finds another early pick here. Venom dying twice consecutively to Tracer. OG there gets hit with an accretion, so he's not picking himself back up at all, and that immortality field doesn't really have the value. There is a chance still here for the Atlanta Reign, though. Valentine and Crimson are both down, and Kai's found another one! Victoria can't believe it! He can catch flies in his gob. He's picking his jaw off the ground right now, and MCD's about to get absolutely rinsed. Venom picks him up.
Man.
And the Reign have done it again.
Yeah, Venom coming back from spawn, but it's really Ultraviolet and Kai able to turn that one. As that looked really good for Boston, they don't even get a tick, man. Those are the fights you gotta put away. You gotta take those.
I mean, Venom and Ultraviolet go down first. Immortality field doesn't work. Pumpkin Victoria set up a 5v3. I cannot believe that just happened. Whew, man, okay, Immortality field, Air Matrix as well up for Ultraviolet here, but Punk's just been blown up already. Hawk gets out of jail free, so to speak, and MCD, yeah, he's done.
So he's going for another punch here on the Valentine. Just the BM there of Hawk trying to chase that down. So they get rid of Victoria. Victoria's got this Dragon Strike, but man, like, do you hold on to this? Like, is it even going to be useful here? Maybe you get the Gravitic Flux and you drag in, the ground when they go through, come down, but
I don't know. You can force some sight lines for yourself as Hanzo, I suppose.
You imagine Hawk is going to come like over the top here, or they're just going to try and collapse on somebody, yeah.
Yep, there it is, straight over the top of Victoria. Venom has just been sat there the whole time. No one has really been paying much attention to him either. Easy pick up for him. No Hanzo now remaining. The Dragon Strike was used. Hawk, okay, steps out of the Immortality field at just the right time. He gets off to safety. It's going to have to be MCD. The Ant Matrix goes a long way, but it's just far from enough.
Yeah, and the Gravitic Flux from Punk only catches Ultraviolet, but able to live on through that. So Victoria going to back up. You're going to have a duplicate here. You're going to have Transcendence, so probably your best chance for the Boston Uprising to take this point A, because You have nothing on the side of the Atlanta Reign. The issue is Atlanta really hasn't relied on like big key ultimates to win some of these fights, right? Like Hawk and Venom can just collapse right on top of MCD, maybe even force his Transcendence out.
Valentine's playing the clock tower right now. You have to surge forward as the Uprising here and get some value out of Zenyatta, and there it is.
It is, yeah.
Transcendence. Oh my Valentine! Pinned to the clock tower! He turned him into the cuckoo! That's disgusting. This is too easy to hit. This is absolutely busted! 3 seconds left in the round, and Kovacs Kai causes the Uprising to bend the knee.
We know how sick that Kai is, just in terms of like an aimer, and with the things we've been seeing Sojourn do thus far, you know, you can't fly down. Like Echo's like descent, right, is like it's pretty slow. Kind of coming down right in his view, like really.
Yeah, it's not as bad as Guardian Angel, but it is pretty slow, sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna die in that situation. Like, I mean, maybe there's no other play there. Maybe you feel like he's like close to half and you can beam him down, but you also had a duplicate there that never gets used, right? Maybe you're able to like actually like get a copy off and then do some damage and then kind of come out of that, finish him. But yeah, Boston had some opportunities there, Mitch. Just didn't make anything of it.
That Transcendence, you know, they really had to try and find some value from that, no doubt about it. And the duration, I think they used it to cross to the point, and then they get absolutely flattened. Losing an Echo at the start of that fight, it definitely hurts. We can see this. I don't know if we slowed it down, but you know how it goes. I mean, sorry, that correction is actually genuinely astounding to find a headshot, and then a sec. Okay.
I mean, those shots are just...
That's just
backbreaking there, the ones from Kai, yeah.
Okay, well, significant mental toll definitely levied to the Boston Uprising after that round. Now they're going to hold out against this Venom Widow. Hasn't peaked. Thinks better of it here. We'll still see Kai, of course, on that Sojourn, and OG switches to the Brig here.
Yeah, and the scary part is for Boston, like, there's just a burst potential here with the Sojourn, the Tracer, and the Doomfist on like a dive. Even Sojourn can get in the mix rather quickly. You know, you lose one player, you're in a really bad spot.
All right, Ultraviolet finds Valentine. It was a trade at first. The Immortality Field for the Boston Uprising is down. Victoria's asking for it here. Oh, he's asking for it. Hawk's made his way in. Disrupt the shot would be nice right now, says Kai. Waits on the cooldown, but gets stunned before he has a chance to make use of it. Doesn't matter. Crimzo finds himself in no man's land. And Hawk is going to shred the rest of the Uprising. This is a very quick map. Very one-sided matchup so far. Oh, bloody hell, that was rough.
Yes, just once Atlanta starts to get aggressive and push on in, Boston's just not able to react and kind of keep up with the pace. Even though they get that first kill in that fight, it's nowhere near enough as Atlanta just barrels on through. Yeah, like you said, dominant first two maps, man.
And again, you know, we're starting to get a little bit of these Sojourn players showcased now. You can just see how the shields kind of rendered useless, right? Obviously penetrating through those. That's pretty scary stuff here, and no one's safe. You stay still for too long, you are absolute toast. And I told you, this is an important map. This tells us how the comps match up. Let's see how we look. It's Circuit Royal, because that's where Boston have to make their comeback. Oh man, it's going to be tough.
through, and there's no counterplay to it. The damage is done. Valentine with 4. You've got to be kidding me.
They've done it! Unbelievable! The Boston Uprising snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
Now Victoria's popping up, making 5 heads. Victoria's going absolutely insane.
Calling all community artists. Submit your art celebrating the Overwatch League for a chance to be featured on the fan art gallery and maybe even make an appearance on the broadcast. That's right, everybody. This match, I don't know how, I don't know how you depict it. You know what I mean? A little bit David and Goliath, I guess, but like that story goes well for the quote-unquote underdog. I don't think this one's going to go that way. More like Goliath punting David into the stratosphere.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'd have like the Atlanta Phoenix bird with just like a pool of blood on the ground. I don't know. That's about it, right? I feel like it's
very macabre. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of something that I could potentially draw, right? I think that kind of is the extent of,
what about just a smear?
Skill.
Why don't you just like dip your hand in paint and go across
the... Yeah, I've seen
some postmodern interpretive art. Yeah, that would pretty accurately encapsulate what's going on here right now.
I wanted Boston to come out and play good today, because they sit here at 2-4, right? Well, they sit here in 2-4, they still have like a chance. Like, this is a team that like started to look better towards the end of the kickoff clash as Faith comes in for MCD. You mentioned like Atlanta, sure, they get some points because of kickoff clash going to the LAN, but they're 3-3. It's kind of like a situation with the London Spitfire and Florida Mayhem the other day, where like, kind of knocks Florida down a peg, like allows London to move up a little bit. Like, this could have been an opportunity for them to kind of, like if they beat Atlanta today, right? They'd be 3-4. Atlanta would be 3-4. Atlanta, maybe they have some tough games. They lose. They kind of, squander away that point that they gained for the kickoff clash, and then Boston can make a comeback. But losing a series like this is tough because you allow the people in front of you to gain an even larger lead, and then you fall a little bit behind. It's pretty disappointing. I think this Boston team is definitely better than what they showed today.
Yeah, definitely can't. This is a team, by the way, that had, a fair bit of time to sort of work on their looks, obviously not sort of competing in the kickoff clash. But again, it looks like Atlanta are able to carry over a lot of what sort of brought them success, in that previous stage, and it definitely feels like it's still relevant here. Again, I think
Also,
like Danny said no Punk Zarya. Definitely won't see it on this map, which is a shame because that was definitely one of his strongest picks. So I feel like Boston actually looked really good with that comp.
Yeah.
Now they don't really have that option. Dallas tried to play it, Matt. It was kind of bad. And, I think that was Boston's one of their biggest strengths.
Also a bit of a confidence boost, I think, for Atlanta to go to the event even after a 3-3 stage and play well. I think definitely kind of bodes well of like, okay, we're on the right track, like keep going at this. Like, we just had a rough patch towards the end of the kickoff clash, where it's like, maybe it's just Boston running into a team that's full of confidence coming off a great LAN performance here.
So I kind of mentioned, Eichenwald should be like emblematic of the comps we should see here. I guess that doesn't hold because Atlanta chose to just keep playing Doomfist on defense as well. Still, this is the kind of look we would have had. Maybe if 4 could play what we consider more conventional. It's kind of what Boston Uprising tried to go for. I mean,
he did not expect them to be in there.
But why not? That's where everyone on defense plays. Kai's he just doesn't care. And look at this. I mean, this is bad for Boston. They've already given up that key room there on the left-hand side with limited resistance.
His Valentine got hit with an accretion there, so had to back up a little bit on the Genji, but you're going to lose this neutral battle, it looks like, as it'll be Atlanta taking that first fight, where that's when Atlanta's looked at their best in the series, so like getting in these these fast-paced engagements with the Boston Uprising, that's when they've looked at their best.
Yes.
Okay, so the May now.
Okay, why do you think he doesn't prefer the Genji, I wonder? I guess he can play more around that shield, but...
Yeah, you can play more around the shield. I mean, May is just kind of like has a large health pool, right? The ice block able to survive. Like, you can kind of play almost like a second tank in situations.
All right, well, let's see if that pays off here. As the Uprising are at least able to stop the cart before that first checkpoint in a position that's relatively advantageous for them. They have the longest sight line here. Victoria dueling with Venom. Venom, this is his bread and butter. Oh, Victoria.
It's tough for Victoria. Because Victoria is also trying to deal with Kai at range, right? Like Kai just looking straight down is...
Oh, man. Okay, yeah, this is getting out of hand now, and tough to contest the car from this position. Valentine's going off on his own. Faith walks off the car to try and fight elsewhere. Valentine now needs to try and contest once more, but Venom's been left unchecked for the most part. Kai plays an absurdly close angle, but Victoria's back in the fight now, and Kai is not in a great spot to contest.
No, and Faith ends up popping the rally and staying alive on the cart, keeping that one from going on through to that first checkpoint. So big play there from Faith, able to take out the Tracer and then dodge some of the shots that are coming in from Kai, as Kai is in a rough spot as he's trying to get back to the rest of his team.
Trying to obscure his head hitbox there. Make it a little bit harder for Victoria to one-shot him. Kai trying, again, very tight angles. He's definitely setting himself a challenge with some of these setups on the Widow. Accretion, nice connection on a 2. Victoria fell to that flux, so now Kai, can play that a little bit more aggressively. There's no one for the Uprising to access the Widowmaker, and it's really a matter of time until it's all over.
Yeah, although a good first defense there from the Boston Uprising, at the end here where the cart's getting through to checkpoint A, not enough on that second attempt there from Atlanta. Atlanta pushing forward, trying to get any stragglers. They found one. So Valentine walls himself over. Yep, no, not going to make it out. So
that is
going to get some extra payload progress here. Yeah, that is. Because Valentine's close to the Blizzard too.
Yeah, and I think if you're Uprising, you probably try and take a slightly earlier fight if you can. Valentine, one of the hardest heroes on their lineup to kill. Obviously because of the presence of Ice Block and Wall himself get away. Here's Infraside from Victoria. Now normally we see defending Widows pop those at the same time as attackers, but Victoria just didn't have it. He didn't have it to mirror, so now he's hoping to use an unanswered one to give his team the edge. Not quite. Gravitic, okay, nice ultraviolet, good position from that drone. He's a little bit further back than his front line, but he places it so everybody gets it. So Boston just offload all the ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, they needed a fight win. They couldn't afford to hold on to some of those ultimates there and risk it, because if Atlanta gets that card through, they have a ton of time going into the final part of the map. Is Venom trying to get out here with his life. A little bit of a dodge there.
Yeah, he's like staggering his movement on purpose. It's quite funny. Just stops in place and then lurches forward again. All these little things you have to think about when you know there's an enemy Widow at large.
Gravitic Flux here from Hawk going to come up. You can just kind of like poke and do some damage until it's up.
I mean, look how much space the Uprising are giving them here. It's going to allow Kai to have a little bit more room to breathe. Valentine's recently switching over to the Tracers, able to blink outside of the Gravitic Flux. Victoria not so lucky though, takes a big hit. Crimson going to get taken down while he's suspended in midair, and a lot of damage on the Punk. The rally is going to be attempted to keep the Uprising alive, and it works. Punk's still standing. Hawk realizes he's overextended, and the Uprising again can deflect the rain.
Yet no immortality field for the Boston Uprising, but the rally from Faith yet again is he's had a really good start to this map, right? The rally on the defensive stand, able to put up a good defense there on that first checkpoint, and then there being able to keep everybody alive through that big Gravitic Flux.
The rain playing pretty assertively, even just with a Baptiste and Tracer, trying to make sure Punk just can't get any easy information or push up and take a more aggressive spot.
I think the Widows have been quiet here. With the shields in play, it's been kind of difficult, especially like the Tracers kind of going after them as well. Oh, well, say that, Victoria gets better at Kai.
Yeah, Kai takes a risk there, obviously, with that grapple being suspended in midair. Maybe if he'd waited for the Infrasite, it would have been a different story. But once again, the Uprising start to come alive here. Punk with that Sigma. Definitely a top pick of his. We'll get double infras in this next fight, which may not really result in too much. I'm curious to see how the rain play around the sort of presence of both those Widow ults here.
Yeah, because you don't have much time on the clock. 55 seconds and counting. You pot the infrasites, you can't exactly wait them out. Have to try and make a play here.
Yeah, it changes the texture of this fight, having both those abilities online here. Notice that Kai is not taking an aggressive angle because it's so telegraphed at this point. Punk stunned briefly there, Pulse Bomb connect onto the Immortality field, that's now down. And it's a Transcendence from Crimzo, the Uprising are trying to take the initiative here. And they've also taken OG. Valentine looking for the Widow, I think, but they've lost Crimzo here. It's a 5v5 for the time being. Kai needs a miracle headshot, and it's not going to be allowed, but Venom is going to do just what Valentine is trying to achieve himself. Both Widows fall to Tracers on either side of the map, but the Uprising finally seem to have found their rhythm here, Matt. And with 13 seconds left, the Atlanta Rain are running on fumes.
Yeah, maybe they're able to contest, so you're going to have Venom still in play. OG will have Rally here. So can Venom get to the cart, get a touch? He does.
OG here with Rally, not really dispensing that healing to many targets at all, and at risk of getting caught out here. He has to shield bash away. What does this Gravitic Flux looks like? It captures Punk, and only Punk, but there's enough damage to take him under half HP. He drops instantly. Faith has to shield bash away to safety. A glancing blow on Hawk, but he gets the bounce on the hypersphere, so Victoria is going to be felled, and he realizes this is the chance to get a big checkpoint now. Accretion blocked by Faith, but he can't keep the shield up long enough. Eventually, he's brought down.
And the Gravitic Flux there actually helps Hawk access the high ground. It's like a rare kind of thing for the Gravitic Flux, like you kind of talk about the use, yeah, but able to use the Gravitic Flux to get to the high ground and take out Punk. Finds another kill there on Victoria, who is low around the corner, but that'll keep the map going for the Atlanta Reign.
Pretty fortunate for Atlanta. Crimzo backs away as Punk goes for the kinetic grasp. Again, Uprising don't want to give too much ground here, so they want to get aggressive if they can, especially once that defensive cooldown's been exhausted. Valentine keeping tabs on Kai, but can't quite reach him here. If there's going to be a Sigma win for Punk, the Uprising starting to clean house here.
Yeah, as they can push on forward and get control of this doorway, you're going to have your own Gravitic Flux. No Transcendence on the other side, just the Immortality Field to try and keep people alive through it. So I think you're now looking, if you're like Atlanta, like can Kai get a pick here? So that'll be an Ant Matrix to open things up. Maybe just to buy them some space getting into the hotel.
Kai knows he can pressure Valentine here, but that Harmony Orb means that Trace is going to be a persistent nuisance. Kai's forced out of a key sight line for a split second, and that was enough time for Boston to make an aggressive play. Careful. Now the recall had to be made there by Valentine. Kai is starting to get frustrated. He can't win against that Tracer, and no one from the Reign is able to help him.
No, that is such a difficult fight to take as Hawk with a desperation Gravitic Flux, he will drop. So it looks like Boston Uprising going to be able to hold on defense here. Looked like they were going to stop Atlanta from taking that checkpoint B. Now it's come down to here after B here, trying to deny them the completion of the map.
Riley's going to let them touch again, though, Matt. This time, though, they lose Venom at the start of the fight. Crimzo has to respect, even with this inflated health pool, needs to respect the pressure the Reign will return back with. And great maneuvering there. Fate's able to back up. They pressure Ultraviolet OG away, and that'll be the round. The Uprising finally finding a bit of a rhythm here, and it prevents the Reign from finishing the map.
Yeah, and I think they looked really good, strong with Punk on this Sigma and then Faith on the Brigitte. I think both of them had a very strong first half to this map. Can they keep it going, though? Can they take this map, kind of push the series forward? I think you're going to need to see a repeat performance, if not better, on their offensive half.
You kind of mentioned that the Widows were pretty quiet.
They kind of, it really felt like they were.
I mean, you're not wrong. I'll give you an example. I mean, Kai has 5 final blows to Hawk's 7. I think Victoria has 4 final blows to Punk's 10. So really the tank's headlining a lot of these fights, and Faith has 6 final blows on the Brig to OG's 1. So you can see where, I mean, 16 out of Boston Uprising's 31 final blows come from Punk and Faith combined.
Yes, it's a little bit different with the Sigmas in the mix, right? We did see Sigma played in the kickoff clash on this map, but still we saw the Widows be pretty effective. Just maybe a little bit of a not really able to find each other and make a big impact type of game. We'll see what Boston plays on offense. We have not seen Orisa very much at all. We just saw it at the kickoff clash. I believe it was Washington, the game that we casted.
Yeah, it was Mag.
We saw the front of Mag, yeah. On Lijiang Tower, looks like Punk going back to spawn. Expect him.
I mean, it's horrendous against Pocoms. It's absolutely awful against them. Once that armor's gone, like you're really fragile, and obviously your cooldowns for mitigating damage at long range are really short. Whereas having a shield, much more comfortable here. As Victoria again wants to be the reactive Widow. He's waiting for Kai to grapple up. Kai though, maybe just pulling his head in a little bit here. More patient play.
You really think about Sigma as a hero, like in the 5v5 meta, like he has like everything in his kit. He can block defense for himself with 2 big kills here for the Boston Uprising, kick things off. So looking much better here for Boston now on offense. But Sigma's got a barrier for the team. He's got a kind of damage eat for himself. He's got a stun, a big AoE ultimate. Like the kit just so good in
primary fire.
Yeah, hit primary fire.
All right, the main wall there, really nice. Looks like the Reign weren't prepared for that. again, pretty rudimentary as far as this map's concerned. We see that sort of be used a lot. Okay, but there's Kai firing now onto Victoria, finds that headshot, and all of a sudden the Uprising think better of trying to force this engage.
And that's one thing that can swing the tide in a game like this, these Widowmakers, right? You're able to pick off these headshots at range against each other and give your team that advantage right off the rip, but you end up losing your break. That's a large source of your brawl, and you see Boston's going to go forward.
Yeah, another May wall looking to hopefully secure a kill. Venom able to deliver the pulse bomb to Crimso, though, who's been accounting for a lot of these final blows so far for the Uprising, and Venom's not done yet. Pressure on Victoria.
Atlanta's lost both supports, though, so they're gonna be coming back now, but they're not in an ideal situation to fight.
No, Venom has no recall. He's hit with a poison mine, so he's looking for a health pack, and it's not there. He's in trouble. Faith runs him down.
Seems like every health pack he was going for was gone. As Faith swinging on everybody on the payload. That'll be Boston taking that first checkpoint.
Faith's like, sorry, bro, I tried. I put my shield up and everything.
Yeah. Doesn't matter, as OG will go over to the Zen. So they're going to play the Zen Batiste here instead of having a Brig in the mix. So a little bit of extra damage coming out from the Atlanta Reign.
Yeah, more pressure on Punk's shield, I think, because the Uprising seem to be taking a lot of ground rather easily as they push up. Despite Kai finding a pick here and there. A bit of fragility showing from the Atlanta Reign. Are they that confident on this comp? I'm not sure. Waggle hands there from Hawk. Is a lot of damage taken and 3-player accretion. That's perfect from Punk. Centimeter perfect from the Australian. Hawk's going to get run over, and the Uprising, they look vastly better on this map so far. A couple kills there, Faith and Valentine falling, but
much better once you see Punk in the game on the Sigma, playing this competition at a high level. See if the Atlanta Reign can come out and contest. I believe you still have Venom alive. You can maybe get towards the payload. He does, gets on a contest, but not going to be for long.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of the whack-a-mole game, that's for sure. And Matrix thrown up here by Ultraviolet. You can see Puck respecting it, folds back around the corner. Gravitic Flux, though, with those grouped up players, is a big opportunity for Hawk. An instant transcendence comes out, though. Hawk has no choice but to drop and touch with the kinetic grasp. Has to be an immortality field, but they cannot keep the Sigma alive, and now it's Venom's turn to step up. He recalls instantly. Another fantastic Maywall from Valentine makes it so hard for Atlanta to reinforce this at all. And just when we thought that this would go the same way as Eichenwald, we're proven wrong, and the Uprising are just dominating on this map.
Yes, this is the Boston I think you expect to see in this series from the get-go, where now they're really turning up the pressure, is getting very close to completing this map, taking it with also a very good time. The time being won't matter, but still, this has been a speed run for the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, the Atlanta are getting crushed right now. They have half of Boston's final blows cumulatively. Punk has 16 final blows for deaths just quietly. Let's see how this ends up. Venom again playing pretty close to Valentine. But Kai's able to find that pick now. Venom can contest pretty safely. Faye steps up, but Venom's being topped up himself. It's an immortality field down for Ultraviolet. That's the recall from Venom. Now he's playing dangerously. He does get Crimso, but again, Crimso steps up to find some huge eliminations on the Zen, and Fate just slaps the Atlanta Reign around. OG steps up here, but it's a pretty spiritless attempt from the Atlanta Reign to stop himself from getting absolutely rolled, absolutely dominated. The Boston Uprising find their feet, find their rhythm, and find the dub. It's a 2-1 series.
Yeah, and you can talk about the play of Punk. I thought Punk was fantastic on that map, but Faith on the Brigitte was really a big difference maker for me. On the payload, just around the objectives, just being able to be a nuisance. Putting down that just passive healing, right? With the Inspire, just the ability to trigger it constantly, but also just contributing to these fights, being a very tanky target along with the May on the payload.
Yeah, a ton of damage also done in that Brig position. We talked up his Brig last year, and it looks like nothing's changed. In fact, maybe it's gotten a little better. Good signs here for the Uprising. Perhaps we have a series on our hands, but we need to wait and see what Map 4 has in store before we can be sure. Well, the Boston Uprising might just have made this series interesting. A slow start for them, it's all on the wrecking ball. They don't find their feet for the first 2 maps, but once Punk and Faith are in comfortable positions, they come alive and they really take the fight to the Atlanta Reign now. It's a 2-1 series, a chance for a map 5 here, but the Uprising are going to have to reverse sweep.
You feel like, though, if the Boston Uprising can get off to a good start here on Coliseum, that they'll have a ton of momentum in this series, where you put together a really strong performance on Circuit Royale, and now if you go into Coliseum, kind of follow that up right at the start, kind of seeps into the minds of the Atlanta Reign a little bit, that a reverse sweep could be on the table.
And again, not every map is going to be like Circuit Royale. It's pretty unique in a lot of ways. And we know that the Atlanta Reign like to play that sort of Doomfist composition. It's definitely going to be an option for them on Coliseum. Kind of a lot of the heroes that we saw in Eichenwald. I mean, the Boston, showed us that Hanzo as well. We can see him on Coliseum as well. If there's a switch back to what has worked for the Atlanta Reign here, you can expect that pressure to get ratcheted up on Boston all over again. So they have to run it back on a map which is not really similar in any way to Circuit Royale. So they need to find something else to give them the edge here. Let's hope there's more in their bag of tricks than just that one comp. As good as it looked, can you force Sigma, Brig, Widow here? I don't think so.
No, and do you play the Sojourn? Like, we haven't seen that from Boston Uprising yet. We saw them play the Hanzo on Eichenwald. We did not see it on map number 1. We saw Tracer Sombra. So do we see them pick up the Sojourn here? As it's been really effective in the hands of Kai when we've seen him play it. Right there was the first map I believe we didn't see him play it, right? He plays it the first 2, and they dominate.
Yeah, it really wasn't much of a competition there. As the Uprising tried to play like an Echo setup into the Doomfist, obviously we know that teams have tried to go that way to get an advantage. So we get, here's the hover from Atlanta. Maybe not so surprising to see this. This is what gave them so much success earlier, right? Puts Venom on that Tracer. And we already talked about Kai's Sojourn here. Boston, though, have their own feel of what kind of comfort comp they play. And they actually are playing Sigma, Brig, and Widow, a comp that I said they would maybe likely move away from here. So very different looks coming up.
With the May in the mix, so a much different look than what we've seen from other teams here on Coliseum. And we're about to find out. I mean, you really don't know at this point, right? Like, with how the meta has changed and so much balance, and we don't know kind of what teams have been working on in the last like week or so. No idea. The Widow obviously always good to get some picks early. Is Victoria feeling a lot of pressure though from Venom and Kai.
The flank from Kai. You think that obviously more moderate range is that Sojourn, but Kai wants to play at a longer range to start with and just squeeze his way into a solid flanking spot here. That's worked really well. The Uprising want to back away and play close together, but they've already lost half their personnel.
Yeah, it's going to be Atlanta getting control of the bot first, getting the barrier moving, but it was really about Kai and Venom on that flank. They put some pressure on the Victorious. Victoria goes over to Hanzo, so this is what we saw in Eichenwald, where for whatever reason they don't want to play this Sojourn, which I've seen a lot of teams use to great effect. I wonder if we see the same result. Kai can be a real big nuisance on these flanks.
This is the setup for Boston that gave them some early picks in those fights, and they still end up losing to Kai and Venom doing insane stuff after the fact. Pulse doesn't stick there, so Crimson's able to avoid that. But look at all the damage of the Uprising. They are so low right now, and there's no burst healing available for them at all. Immortality Field is down, but Boston hang on just long enough to get rid of Venom. Kai still firing on all cylinders, so he takes a big hit there, presumably from Valentine's Ice Spike. He's charged up and ready to go. That wall's about to come down. Kai lays Crimson low, but doesn't find the elimination.
Yeah, this is tough for the Atlanta Reign to push through, right? Because this is where the Boston Uprising, they control some high ground. It's going to be a Meteor Strike going in right on the support. That's going to get the Transcendence out.
Oh, he's dead. He's very dead. I mean, poor Hawk. Think back to the days of... Yeah, I mean, he's been staggered so many times on the Diva in years gone by. He's reliving those moments again. But the Uprising, nicely done. They deal very well, and the Transcendence is timely as Crimson starts to fire.
Can you win multiple fights in a row, though, if you're the Boston Uprising? And that's going to be the key here. You'll have the Sojourn ult with an Amp Matrix here, potentially, on deck. And that Sojourn ult will shoot those right clicks through the shield. So Sigma going to do absolutely nothing there to protect.
Hanzo under a lot of pressure. Victoria has to jump away. Kai has that overclock in his back pocket here, but it's going to be Crimzo to strike first yet again. There's a Zenyatta presence here, really having an impact. Kai has to drop to the low ground here just to benefit from Ultraviolet's Transcendence. And here come the Uprising. They're about to equal the Reign's push. Gravitic Flux catching off screen. I think it was Ultraviolet that got caught on that as he went for like a flanker. Is it a flanking position, Matt?
Yeah, as now Boston starting to get the advantage here, is not able to get like a full team fight there if you're the Atlanta Reign. Just kind of like you're trying to use the Transcendence to keep everybody up. Like maybe you could stall enough for Hawk to get back in the mix, but not able to do so. And in this area of the map, like underneath this bridge, this is where you may like the Hanzo and the Mei a bit better.
Oh yeah, I love Hanzo here, Matt. That I know for a fact. Victoria just ruins Ultraviolet's day there. Let's assume he meant to hit that. Forward spawn achieved here for the Boston Uprising. They get past one of the sort of most treacherous parts of the map.
In that really close quarter area, right? You have the Sigma, the Mei, and the Hanzo, like all can do like big damage, like burst damage up close. Then you also have the break there as well. So look at where Kai has to play from. Like, can he get back or get an angle here to help a teammate?
Yeah, he really has to play to his strengths at mid-range to avoid Hanzo just ruining his day. Pretty well placed disruptor shot there, maybe coming up a little short to actually damage the people inside that room.
Oh, the
Hawk comes out of Meteor Strike and is, blown up.
Yeah, I mean, nothing you can do there. The Transcendence going there from Crimzo. So we're about halfway through this round, and started off good for the Atlanta Reign, and now Boston is taking it to them yet again, just like how we saw in Circuit Royale.
Valentine and Crimzo are having a fantastic round.
Have a Blizzard here, Mitch, and you know, Blizzard, Gravitic Flux, Rally, like you could actually get a full completion here.
To make a map 5, what a way to make a statement. Face able to drop that as he puts his shield away and then brings it back up. Bomb hits the ground. OG went for an air matrix here. It's unclear if he's in a great spot to get value out of it, but Kai now comes alive with the railguns. Valentine removed by that one, and Boston have a chance to push back to their side of the map. Remember, we're only halfway through the round here. With that time increase, now there's more opportunity to sort of match, but you're in triple digits if you're Boston. That's a tough one for Atlanta.
Especially because you're going to have to keep competing against this high ground advantage here to push on through. And in this close quarters, like these chokes, right, where you're playing right here for the Boston Uprising, that's where you can get really good use out of that Mei and the Brig.
All right, Troy looking for his first victim again. First pick, care of Crimzo. Another Dragon Snipe for Victoria. This is going to deny that side flank, force the Reign into that central corridor if they want to fight. They don't.
And even if you don't make any progress here, like that'll be a kill from Victoria on that kind. But even if you don't make any progress for Boston, just getting the bot this far deep into Atlanta's side of the map, if you get wiped, Atlanta's going to get a fight like basically mid-map.
I don't know what's going on, Matt. The Reign are in trouble. Blizzard here for Valentine. Another forward spawn. Re-engage for the Uprising as they head back up to the bridge here. Hawk wants to try and start this fight as early as he can. Valentine, interesting, just wants to deny this route of approach from the Atlanta Reign. It doesn't stop him from getting taken down, though, as Kai is playing some awkward angles here, Matt. Trying to find an opportunity here for an insta-kill. It's too late. He's found nothing. His team are getting decimated. Crimzo again with 2.
Yeah, and Punk on an eat of the pulse bomb, so it's going to be a big Transcendence here from Ultraviolet, though. This should be enough to keep the rest of the members of the Atlanta Reign alive. Yeah, flip this back in their favor, but that takes 2 minutes off the clock, pretty much. Now, let's see where they actually get the bot to. Like, about mid-map, you would say?
Valentine has no blinks left.
He's in trouble.
Yeah. Huge overextension from him there. He has to understand he's going up against a Tracer who will match blinks to try and keep up with him. The recall there, would have worked out if Ultraviolet hadn't sort of hung back a little bit to see him reappear. So here we go once more. Atlanta in position to try and get some points on the board, some distance on the ledger. Crimzo accosted early here by Hawk, who goes into power block. Crimzo with the super kick. Not going to be enough to keep him alive, though.
These are big kills, though, because this is going to be an opportunity for Atlanta to get the barrier moving where they don't have to fight this high ground control. They take the fight happens a little bit before it, so now they can gain some high ground access. You see where Kai and OG Ultraviolet are going to set up here. Let Venom move the robot underneath.
They do need to keep Venom or somebody on the bot. They really need to keep the bot moving throughout these setup for this next fight. Crimzo finds a random head there. Bot is moving.
4 ults too.
They get the checkpoint. So, okay, now the butt scratch is going. You could regroup here. Losing Venom early in the fight, not a good start at all. It's going to be overclocked from Kai here, and Matrix as well to try and help him out, but he opts not to use it. There's no good sidelines at all. He falls to the pulse bomb, but Valentine is taken down by Ultraviolet. At least he makes use of their Matrix, but Shade's a Pelican here as Victoria finds a quick double.
Yeah, you feel like that may have been the best opportunity that would have been in front of the Atlanta Reign for the rest of this map. So you had 4 ultimates going into that fight. You had that kind of like high ground control on the bridge. Now Boston will get the bot moving back towards mid-map.
God, it would be tragic here if the Boston Uprising aren't able to hold on to this sort of lead. They want to play it slow. They want to play it conservative here. They've been ahead for, more than 8 minutes of this round. Now they've just got to convert. Meteor strike here, no direct connection, so Hawk has to get out pretty quickly. Mutual stun between him and Faith as the shield bash came in. He was knocked to the ground by an accretion. Hawk in the air, caught in that gravitic flux. A Transcendence used defensively from the Uprising, and they've got all the answers here, man. They've got everything they need to hold off the Reign. This is going to be almost impossible for Atlanta to bring back.
Yeah, the Transcendence for Atlanta has to come a little bit early because Hawk takes so much damage going on in. They have the Immortality field and the Transcendence trying to bring him back to life. And they're able to do so for a brief period of time, but the Transcendence from Boston comes after the Gravitic Flux with some extra damage as well, and not able to heal on through.
This is it. This is the last push for the Atlanta Reign. Again, dealing with that checkpoint. They've managed to at least get through that. So the bot will be able to keep moving quickly. There won't be a butt scratch to sort of waste time for them. That's the positive. The negative, though, that's a long list right now. They have to go up against this pulse bomb situation here. They got no real ults of their own. The stick is good, and Victoria's going to be taken down instead, though. Kai finds a railgun connection. Hawk's able to survive the pulse. And it's a player advantage for the Atlanta Reign now, as they know it's now or never in this map. They want to avoid a map 5. They need to be done here. It's time for overtime.
Oh, they lose Hawk here at the start. That's so rough there for Atlanta. They're going to have to keep it going. You see Venom, he's got to move the bot forward, but he's moving so far away from his teammates. They're going to be so split.
Now it's over for the Atlanta Reign. They're not able to hold out, and the Boston Uprising looking to make this reverse sweep a reality. There's no doubt about it, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a series on our hands, as the Uprising might have been slow starters, but now they're showing us they're more than enough to deal with the Atlanta Reign. Oh man, if you're Atlanta, now you've got to fight back from being on the ropes. Flying high after those first 2 maps, Matt, now you need to dig real deep.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, I think, Mitch, going into this final map. Do we see a sub for the Boston Uprising? They've looked really good with Pumpkin on the Sigma. Do we see them try and come back with Itzel on the Wrecking Ball?
This might well be a stage, a qualifier for underdog teams here, as the Uprising want to follow in London's footsteps to take down a team like the Atlanta Reign. Will be a great start of their campaign. This only ends one way, ladies and gentlemen, and that is in a map 5 real soon. The last time the Boston Uprising were able to reverse sweep an opponent was back in 2019, Stage 3 against the Paris Eternal, and now almost 3 years later, a golden opportunity presents itself. Such a slow start for the Uprising in this series. Generally just not good gameplay. They were getting rolled. Now though,
it's been weird.
It's a roller coaster. You know what I mean? Like these games are like you're gonna look back at the score and you're gonna be like, oh, this series was close. No, every map was a blowout for one team or the other. You know what I mean? With maybe the exception of Circle Royale, which is a bit closer. But I mean, the time bank that the Uprising had to finish that was just huge. It's been one-sided for either team.
So Atlanta keeps with the same roster the entire game. It's always in that game 1 where we saw the Boston Uprising fall to play that wrecking ball. And then we come back with it here in this game 5 with Punk, who is playing great on the Sigma. They really started to click going out. I think it'll be interesting what they decide to play here. If they go with some of the wrecking ball comps the entire way. I thought Itzel looked good on the wrecking ball. It's just the team around him was not able to put it together.
Yeah, I think that's what we kind of noticed, right? He was having quite an outsized impact, but a lot of what he was doing was on an individual basis or in an individual capacity. You know, I think the echo play for Boston wasn't really there. They weren't able to sort of link up with the wrecking ball. So the individual talent was there. There's no doubt about it. It's clear to see why Itzel's on this team in the first place. But we need to see how it meshes, what kind of concert there is with the rest of the Uprising. Lijiang Tower going to be a golden opportunity to display that. Maybe not every map going to be extremely wrecking ball friendly. But this one, definitely, Boston seem to think it is.
So, yeah, you'll see Boston hovering this wrecking ball at the start here. So they were playing wrecking ball, Tracer, Sombra for like an extended period, and I feel like
did no damage.
Yeah, I feel like there really wasn't much happening there. So,
but hey, this is what they practiced. This is what they've honed over the last couple of weeks. Let's see the fruits of that labor now as our Symmetras do propel our teams forward. The Uprising have that same composition, Matt. Going to be Tracer, Sombra.
Atlanta will come out. Oh, that's a huge biotic grenade there from Ultraviolet. Connects with 3 at the start. Yeah, you're going to back up as this is not what you wanted to see if you're the Boston Uprising right off the rip here. Is kind of shades of map number 1 kind of coming back to bite you. As this will be the Atlanta Rain. Should be able to control this first point.
I mean, you're dead right. That's all I could think of as I watched this fight go. The Atlanta Rain
I've seen this before.
Yeah, they have superior positioning there, and it's all poke damage. Is it Arnade? Did you see like OG's just sort of poking from mid to long range, gets 2 final blows just from kind of spamming them down. So a lot of front-loaded damage here from the Atlanta Rain. The Uprising need to find a way to close the gap, and this seems to be better. Go White Room, work your way into the point, let Itzel try and sow some discord.
But you lose Victoria right off the start with... He's like their biggest source of damage, right? Like him and even Crimzo, as Crimzo falls.
Ultraviolet's just dugging on them right now. A sleep dart after that Bionade on Crimzo, Boston just got absolutely gutted.
And what do you even do if you're Boston if this doesn't work, right? Because this is really all we saw from them from map 1, if I'm not mistaken. I believe this is like the only look we saw from them. With the Echo, I think they ran a little bit, right? But it was pretty much this ball Tracer combination with Valentine either on the Echo or the Sombra.
Kaya charges up a pretty big rail there just from incidental poke damage. There was a hack there, Pulse Bomb, as Venom reaches deep into the formation of the Uprising but finds very little. It's a Discord Orb on Hawk right now. He needs help, and help comes. Faith eventually picks him off, but Crimzo's taken down as Venom managed to get into the backline. But the Uprising have a 4v3 scenario now, and it had to be another double or multi-kill scenario from Kai here. But he misses the rail on Victoria, who looks to close the gap, but the Disruptor shot's going to hold him at bay, and OG sends Fate Karini over the edge. The Rain comes back short-handed again.
Yeah, you mentioned, you know, Kai had to come up big, but OG gets a kill there, able to stall it out for the Atlanta Rain. And you have Sound Barrier here. You still haven't seen an EMP available for Boston. They're still not even at their rally. Not been able to get much of anything done.
Is there anything more disappointing than a team looking to make a reverse sweep happen and then just fall apart in the last map?
I don't know. 3-0'd. I mean, that's worse.
Okay, sure. But this time you have hope and then it's snatched away from you. The Uprising need to dig deeper. Victoria has a pulse here, is able to avoid a lot of that pressure. It was a good Bionade at the start of the fight, though, that really slowed up the Uprising, and Venom chases him down. It's a 1-for-1, though, with Hawks missing. The Transcendence from Crimzo gave his team a chance to play more aggressively. Kai just was hoping to hit anything with that rail there as he charged up. He's got plenty of them. He's getting heavily pressured right now by Itzal, but that's it. And he has a Harmony Orb on him to help deal with a lot of that sort of chip damage. Beautiful stick on Faith, and this is looking like it's headed south for the winner for the Uprising.
Yeah, when the EMP comes out from the Boston Uprising, the Atlanta Reign, they just back off the point just a little bit. They let the Boston Uprising take it, and then they come back forward, and they're just wiping the floor with them here as Victoria just getting on to get a touch.
Holy moly, here's a Wrecking Ball from Itzal trying desperately to keep his team in this one, but the Uprising are sluggish on returning for this contest.
It looks like just kind of staggering coming in here. You just have to work your way onto the point. Crimzo puts down some damage at range, scares Venom a little bit. It's a biotic grenade there on Itzal as Boston trying their hardest to flip this.
Oh, man. That's it. Great start from the Atlanta Reign here. Like the OG Ultraviolet duo really making it happen. And then the Uprising just couldn't find a way back in with his composition.
I'll say as well, like, people probably will be like angry about like the sub here, but I actually kind of agree in the sense that I'm not going to play Sigma really on any of these, right? Like if anything, you're going to play like a Reinhardt composition here. You would have played no ball on that map. If Punk can't play those, you have to make a sub, right? So kind of agree with it from the Boston Uprising angle. You just wish they looked a little bit cleaner on that ball comp, but let's see what this is. So this could be quite interesting. So Bastion puts out tons of damage, like an insane amount of damage.
Yeah, in a window he does, right?
Yeah, he's a fairly easy target, but you might have a window of opportunity here, right?
Here's that window, right? While he's in the tank configuration, able to move, he has disgusting output. But outside of that, a little bit less exciting. Still, the threat of Valentine and the rest of the Uprising force the Atlanta Reign away to start with. See Hawk charging that power block. You better know he's
they're difficult to collapse on, though, with the Symmetra turrets as well.
Again, seems pretty easy just to run away from this. Yeah, Valentine is not finding anything. Victoria here with that, but Reinhardt is absolutely going to fall. It looks like the President's going to be left for last, but you know he's going to be sent packing too.
And we'll see if they decide to switch off of this. I kind of, I like the idea there from Boston. It's just you can break the line of sight so easily from the Bastion, and like you mentioned, when he's doing his Sentry mode, aka Wheels mode, that's when he does most of the damage. Outside of that, wicked. What really gonna have it is Victoria now over to Cassidy, so really interesting composition here from Boston.
Well, there's a stick, and those wheels might be in trouble. Matt, the Immortality Field was taken down by the Pulse Bomb, but the follow-up was there. Hawk just dives on in. Perfect 10 from the judges as the Uprising are ripped limb from limb, and it's 41 and counting for the Reign.
Yeah, fairly easy die target there is the Bastion, and we'll see Valentine switch right off of it. So I'm going to go over to the Mei, where a little bit of like an old school type of comp, right? This is something you would see in 6v6 Overwatch, right? With an
I watched this comp at APAC Premiere back in like 2017 or something like that. This was the go-to. Maybe not Baptiste, to be fair, but pretty close. Oh dear. All right. Hawk just trying to keep an eye on anyone that might flank him, slow him, or wall him off. That's what Valentine was kind of hoping to do there. But Hawk knows he can get out of jail here. He doesn't have to, though. That's a deadly punch. He'll now pull out. And the Boston Uprising are trying to do the same here, albeit in a different way. They're really scared of what the Reign are throwing at them right now.
Man, this series has been just so bizarre in the sense that, like, you've seen Atlanta, they looked great map 1 and 2. Boston, they looked fantastic in our last two maps on Circle Royale and Coliseum, but here at the end, not able to put it together. They got to get a touch.
The Uprising came so close here, so tantalizingly close to a victory. But right now, it looks like they've got nothing left. They use everything they could on just trying to keep step with the Atlanta Reign. We find another gear. Kai now in that ultimate, a lot of pressure on Crimzo, and Venom is there at just the right time. The two DPS for the Reign working in concert there, and there's nothing the Uprising could have done about it. Ice block for Valentine, but all the chances of the Uprising have gone to waste as the Atlanta Reign hold off the reverse sweep. And the Uprising crushing loss here in map 5.
They barely hold on. I mean, that is Boston. They were really gaining the momentum on Circuit Royale and then on Coliseo, but their control game just is a little bit lacking right now. Got to work on some of these comps. Otherwise, no, this is a series that the Boston Uprising definitely could have stole here at the end.
Yeah, listen, if you ever have the sort of constructive feedback of I like the idea, it generally means that the execution is lacking behind the sort of inspiration to a degree, and that's what we saw from Boston. They tried a Bastion play with the Reinhardt, which is cute, right? I mean, you can see the Bastion so deadly within those short windows, in those short spaces of time, but outside of that, he can be ignored for the most part, and that's what Hawk did. He just dived on the Reinhardt, or they tried to pressure down the backline, hit the Baptiste as hard as they could, and then let's not forget the impact of the DPS for the Reign, who were just causing so many problems, converging on the same targets.
It's an interesting comp at the start of a control map. You can come out, do some interesting things, maybe catch a team off guard, win that first fight, and you're able to make that Bastion work, but obviously didn't happen.
So throw memories back, throw them back to the first couple maps so you can understand how we made our selection of our player of the match here, who goes a little bit quiet in the later part of the series, but was just a one-man army in the first couple maps. That's going to be Kai, your player of the match here. Again, we are seeing player after player show us that Sojourn is pretty insane right now. And just the raw impact, winning short-handed fights, winning in these like 3v5s, these 2v4s, that's insane. That's the kind of thing that sort of can't be overstated.
Even in the series parts of the maps where he was a bit quiet, I think like the biggest difference maker in the ones that the Atlanta Reign won was Kai, and being able to play that Sojourn. It was really impactful, especially on Eichenwald, really strong. And then also comes up with some big picks towards the end there on Lijiang Tower. So pretty good series overall from Kai. If you're an Atlanta fan, love to see him there on the Sojourn. You see the 70% rail accuracy. You're with how charged up you probably are at times. Like, you're cementing those as kills. That's pretty huge there.
In fact, it's pretty heavily into your overall damage output there. As you can see, the Kai's involved in an ungodly amount of eliminations per 10 minutes. Yeah, a huge impact from Kai. We saw Venom on that Tracer, who struggled at times, I think, dealing with Hanzo in general. But the Atlanta Reign, they have a good framework to go from, right? Their Doomfist-based comp looks quite good. Oddly enough, it's the Sigma look, the wheelhouse of Hawk, and what we thought this team would maybe feel more comfortable playing with. They had the most difficulty against Boston in this matchup.
Yeah, I'd expect them to clean that up, though. I think when we talked about Circle Royale, like, really weren't getting much from the Widowmaker play on there, and I thought Faith and Punk really made a huge difference with like that break combination with the Sigma there. In Coliseo, Boston got off to just a super hot start, and you were not able to bounce back from that. So I think those are things that Atlanta can fix moving forward.
Well, we still got one more match in us today, everybody, and it's a capital D a doozy. I'm not going to spoil it for you, though. We'll let our friends over at the couch over the Watchpoint truck give you a prelude. We'll be back, of course, with more Overwatch League here in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. I'm here joined now by Kai from Atlanta Reign. Kai, congratulations on the win.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, so about this match, I think definitely Atlanta Reign, you guys started off strong. You guys had the upper hand up until map 2. But going into map 3 and 4, the Circuit Royale and also Coliseo, I think Mr. X also mentioned this. Boston Uprising all of a sudden just came back alive. And then going into map 5, you guys came back again and you guys just sort of dominated the Uprising. So I just want to ask you, what sort of talk did you guys have with your teammates after map 4 that sort of triggered you guys to just come back alive in map 5?
I mean, like map 5, like there was different comps, but I feel like Boston kind of like slowed it down a bit, especially like with the May and stuff, so we couldn't just run it down on them. But honestly, like map 5, they just kind of threw with that like Bastion comp like that. I'm sorry, but that was just bad. Like, but yeah, we're pretty confident.
So their comp just didn't work, right?
Yeah, they didn't work, honestly.
And it worked out. Okay, interesting. And I mean, I also want to ask you about the hero that you were playing, Sojourn, specifically. I feel like coming into this stage, a lot more DPS players are picking up this hero and does seem really, really good. And you, Kai, today, you killed it. You were looking very clean on Sojourn as well. So as a Sojourn player now, I feel like I want to ask you, like, what's like the hardest thing about playing Sojourn right now, currently?
I mean, for me, it's like not pressing shift, because I feel like as soon as you press shift, like the other team just looks at you straight away. Like you're so killable, so it's just, yeah, it's just not pressing shift and not trying not to get bored, you know, like.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And one last, I mean, it's not a question for me, but I mean, I do want to say, I did hear that today was your birthday, so me and here, guys, come in. Let's all wish Kai a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Kai.
Happy birthday, Kai. Happy birthday, Kai. Hope you have a wonderful day, and yes, this will conclude the interview. Happy birthday again, and yeah, congratulations on the win, Kai.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Happy birthday, Bo.
Say it again. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday, though.
It sounds like Bo because I said it too fast. I was like, happy birthday, bro.
Bro. Well, it works either way.
It does.
The important part is the happy birthday, really. And you can add anything after that. But yeah, happy birthday, actually.
Kai, though.
Kai, though. Birthday Kai, though.
Birthday Kai, though.
That one is different.
Maybe that was a secret. Like, the secret power. Like, it's his
The birthday buff?
Yeah. Birthday buff, Sojourn. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Let's go with that. That will suffice as analysis for me, actually.
Yeah. Done.
Reinforce, maybe you want to add something to that. Looking at the Boston Uprising kind of dragging themselves back into the game after a very slow start. How did they get it done?
Well, it was very interesting because, I mean, as Kai mentioned in the interview as well, they started playing a bit more of control-oriented compositions. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, trying to control the pace of the game with stuff like Brigitte. We saw some May integrated as well, so we saw some May walls plop down. It started out rough. I mean, it was a rough showing for Boston Uprising in the first couple of maps. And when you come out playing the Wrecking Ball here like Itzel did, Hawk immediately is just going to be like, well, I guess I'll play Doomfist. It's very comfortable. I can just punch this ball around. And you're playing pinball, essentially, if you are the Atlanta Reign, just trying to get him out of there. So it's very hard to get these dives through. But as the series progressed, we started seeing some more Sigma compositions for the Boston Uprising. This look here didn't work out too great with the Batiste and the Señala, but overall I feel like when the Boston Uprising did play a bit more May and they slowed down the pace of the game, that's when you force the Atlanta Reign into a pretty uncomfortable sort of situation where you have to decide, like, okay, well, we need to pick our dives way more carefully because we know they have a Brigitte, and when they do try to play a May, well, then we have to be very cognizant of this May wall as well because it's going to block off